Thank you so much for having me on this show. My name's Salmin Chacha. I'm an occupational therapist currently practicing at AR Hospital. As an occupational therapist, I'm so passionate about mobility and movement. Mobility is very critical in life, because at a given point, once it is compromised, it really affects your day-to-day activities and general quality of life.
Indeed.
It can really again impact your physical well-being as well as an emotional well-being. And that one, it will really affect the way you do your things and the way it can even impact your future goals.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for honoring the invite. I appreciate. Maybe someone didn't get to feel your name in the previous session. Please introduce yourself once more.
Oh, okay, let me do it again. My name is Nicholas Kimani. I am a physiotherapist, currently based at Mutuni Sub-County Hospital. It is a county hospital in the Dagoretti South Sub-County. In today's topic, we'll be talking more on rehabilitation and movement.
Indeed. And, rehabilitation and movement.
Yes.
All right. Before we start, how was your Madaraka? It's actually a day ago.
Madaraka was fine. Took time, spent time with family. At least I got to travel to Shagu Kidogo, and I came back. So I'm happy to be back in Nairobi and happy to be here.
You have to spend the week there.
Yeah,
right? All right, but it's an honor that you guys are here and we're embracing this conversation in the best way possible. I really appreciate, and the fact that it's a conversation and movement. You had your time, you moved, means that the Lord Himself gave us now that mighty to feel the presence and to move and to be here. It's really an honor, and it's also an honor that our audience are moving with us right about now. It is 3rd of June 2025, and we're embracing the conversation and the power of rehabilitation in movement. We've been speaking for quite some time about this, but we've never had a conversation in regards to the same. And today we are going to just have an emphasis on movement, mobility, and how all this entire thing functions. If you are watching us for the first time, we are live across all social media platforms: www.lookuptv.co.ke or Facebook and YouTube, Lookup Television. I believe also we are right in Twitter, www.lookup.co.ke, Lookup TV on X. In sick people, movement can be impacted in several ways, ranging from decreased activity and altered gait to involuntary movements caused by neurological conditions or medication side effects. Impact of illness and movement: of course, we have reduced activity, altered gait, and involuntary movements, which our doctors here will be able to help us understand in the best way possible. Earlier, a few months ago, we had also a discussion on Parkinson's disease. When we were embracing Parkinson's awareness, there's an issue, of course, of the movement. Now, in embracing this, there are many others that perhaps wako na shida sana ya the movement in it, lugha ya Kiswahili. But now the doctors are here. That is Salmin Chacha and Nicholas Ngigi. Let's start from Nicholas. When we're talking about conversations on movement, what do we take into consideration?
When you take movement as a topic, we are trying to see how well can you move, walk, run. That's the most important. How good are your activities of daily living? Because you see, we can talk of maybe somebody from a total hip replacement. How well are they moving? How well are they able to do the activities of daily living? And how is their quality of life? That is the best question to ask. How is their quality of life? So when we talk of rehabilitation first, by rehabilitation, it is a branch of medicine that aims at enhancing and bringing about an improving quality of care for the patient and also for the people around. Because you see, when we have clients with mobility deficits, they'll have somebody around to take care of them. So they also need to take care of how they move. patient is bedridden, you need to take care of your back. You need to take care of everything you're using to take care of the patient. So generally, when you're talking of rehabilitation on movement, we are talking of how best we can take care of a sick person. Either is able to walk by themselves or is bedridden until they gain the best quality of life.
Thank you so much, Ngigi. So Salmin, why are we having this conversation at this particular time? Because movement has been the key or the core element in the sick people. But why is it important that we're embracing this conversation?
I think it is very, very much important because we rely on movement in our day-to-day activities, including a simple task just like holding a spoon and scooping food to your mouth. That is movement. And you see most of these neurological cases, like for instance the one you talked about, Parkinson's, sometimes they are compromised in regards to their movement. They have involuntary movements that you talked about, which sometimes they will have tremors, which will compromise their ability to feed themselves, and that one will go handy to their ability to do basic skills like dressing. That will go handy to the ability of them doing activities like taking bath, boarding a car or to go somewhere. And you see that one really affects the whole spectrum of life, from social participation to personal activities. Yeah.
But leave alone now the conditions, for example, those that we've mentioned before, there is this aspect where now this person maybe alianza kuumwa na kichwa and now it affected their movement. How should we handle these people? Before we get to Ngigi, of course, we'll get to tragic accidents where this now is a mess, is a total mess. Let's begin from a simple angle where this is just kichwa tu ilikuwa inamsumbua kidogo and now there is a problem. You can concentrate, you can move properly.
You see, for every I'll begin by movement is not just the word moving. It starts from you being able to have an idea of what kind of movement you want to engage in. That means now you need to have an idea of walking, let me say per se, and then you initiate the movement itself.
You're not sick, but
yes, in medical terms, if you allow me, there's something called praxis. Practice skills. Practice skills is when is the ability for you to be able to have an idea of doing something, and then your brain being the cheerleader there organizes itself and then it executes. So you walk. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Yes, like that. It starts from the brain. And for instance, like you said, you've had a headache or something. That means your way of coordinating your ideas and stuff are compromised in a way. And now you can't walk like this. Definitely you'll sleep and fall.
Wow.
Yeah. So from that I can say if someone starts with a basic headache like that, you just go to the hospital, get checked. If at all it's a neurological condition that is setting in, for instance stroke, sometimes it can start like that. You get that early intervention that will really help you from getting debilitating issues like deficits in movement and mobility.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about praxis, and wow, amazing. You know, that coordination. You know, when you wake up in the morning, you feel like it's normal. It's a normal thing. And I see I'm moving. You know, I can stretch a little bit, and I do some few things.
Since last month you had, is it last month or when you had Parkinson's awareness?
Yeah.
You see, for people with Parkinson's, they usually have challenges with these praxis skills, and praxis skills is everything that we need. Yeah. So you'll see them moving in a shuffling manner. You talked about gait. Yeah, no one walks like this. So let's say you're walking on a slippery surface per se, and then you're shuffling your way. Definitely you'll slide down and have a very bad injury that will even compromise your well-being now for good.
Indeed. All right, Ngigi, from that understanding, of course, now we have the fatally affected. How does that come about, and how should we handle these people?
In a situation of fatally affected people, we are talking in a perspective of an accident.
An accident.
Let's talk of a motorcycle accident. This guy has been hit from behind, or let's say from the side.
Indeed.
Has fallen to the, let's say, the tarmac, has rolled a few times. Maybe let's talk of the Kenyan perspective of the border. Most of them don't put on their helmets. They don't put on their protective clothing. So you'll find that this person has fractures, mostly the legs, the hands, and maybe skull fractures, and those ones are the ones that are fatal. So in such kind of situations, you always want to make sure that the guy on the floor has to be stabilized first. So it's best that somebody with the skill or the know-how of how to handle such a patient has the ability to come and do the work himself. Because what we do in Kenya is haraka beba, weka kwa pikipiki ingine, twende hospitali, peleka Kenyatta, peleka Mbagathi. So that kind of a situation worsens, because you see the patient has a fracture, maybe the neck, and then you're just carrying, you are not harnessing, you've not applied any splint, because you'll find that when an ambulance comes, they'll assess, they'll check for any movement, they'll ask the guy on the floor how they're feeling. If they're not responding, then they'll be able to use the appropriate skill and tools to harness the patient properly, make sure that any point that is suspected or has a fracture is properly put together, so that they are, maybe if it's a splint, wanafunga haraka, if it is a neck collar, it is applied correctly, and then they're put on a stretcher or a carrier, and then put in the ambulance and taken to hospital. So this perspective of us, or maybe the guys on the ground, the first person who gets in contact with the sick person on the ground, carrying them without proper handling worsens the condition, and that may lead to a disability.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Indeed, might lead to a disability, and of course we don't want that to happen. Yes.
Just to add on my colleague here. For me, I would say, I don't know if it's the right time to make a proposal, but for me, I think it is very, very wise and critical. These matters of safeties like that, maybe a way that they can be channeled to our education system, such that people are educated on this. Because, for instance, someone gets an accident in the rurals, and then you call an ambulance is not that near. What happens? But if we have these basic skills right from our educational level, I think we will be able to save lives. It's not a must that you wait for the right person. Yes, it's good to wait for the right person, but there's that little thing that you do on saving this particular individual.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Sasa kama viungo vyake vimetapakaa kila mahali, how will you accommodate that? Like utazifanya jamaa yule
by the time viungo vimetapakaa kila mahali, that person is dead. So what will you do?
The situation where the leg is pointing in the other direction, the hands are pointing their own directions, how should we do that though? Zisikwame hivyo. You know, the basic thing that he said here, that you align the bone, the little that you do at that particular time will really save that particular person, instead of you mishandling and causing more impact. Yeah.
the issue here is to reduce the impact as low as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation also. When I walked in the morning, of course, I told you about muscle pull, which also sometimes will perhaps affect movement, and you can walk straight, come up on a stroke. In the first processes, and I believe many of us will experience that in a while. In that first steps, what are some of the things that this person should do? Take karibu forever kuweka mguu straight.
Muscle pull usually is an involuntary muscle contraction.
Okay.
So usually most of the time it's due to a deficiency.
Indeed.
Yes. So most likely it happens due to a deficiency in some minerals.
Indeed.
So it is something that you need to know, because you look at the guys in the gym, they'll always carry a banana. True? So it's something to do with the minerals, potassium, sodium channels.
Amazing.
Yes. So it's something that can be controlled. It's not an alarm.
But sometimes the leg inakataa kusonga.
Ile mpaka mnagonga hivi. That's dangerous. You see, let me take you on a sports perspective as a physiotherapist. The first thing you do when an athlete gets muscle pull, for me, I apply ice. There are many ways of controlling a muscle pull. Some will just make sure that the leg is straight, make sure you don't force it, because you see this muscle is contracting, so inafanya muscle inakaza. So when you try and bend or try and move it, you might tear. So you try and cool down. So what's the best? The field hutakosa ice. Just apply ice, the muscles will relax. Then from there, you can take any precautionary activity.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right, and the precautionary activities are the best to give out, pour out the best solution towards making sure that this person heals. Now, before we get to deeper other questions, let's now embrace what you guys do. We'll start with Salmin Chacha. You are an OT. So, what is that, and what are the environments of OT?
Let me start. I can put it in this way. Let me just give you a scenario.
Okay.
You have a very big wall, and then that is preventing you from accessing the other side, and you are on this other side. So, and on the other side of the wall, there are things that you need to do and you value to do. Yeah, and you're interested in those things. And the door, that wall has one particular door for you to be able to access the other side of the things that you need to do. So an occupational therapist is that guy that has that key to help you access those things that you need to do. And what are these things that you need to do? These are activities of daily living. Dressing, sitting, coming here and doing your journalism task, going to the hospital if you are a doctor, going to the school if you're a teacher, going to church if you're a pastor. Basically all things that you do in life. So an occupational therapist is that guy that uses activities regardless of the illness that you have, either mental, physical, to help you be able to engage in activities of daily living.
Be able, and I believe after this show you'll also assist me to be able to make some movements as well.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you so much. Physiotherapist.
A physiotherapist is a trained personnel, because we have so many other physios out here. Is a trained personnel who is trained to help you get back to your physical activity and physical movement and function through various techniques and exercises. So when we are talking of physio, I'll be able to manage pain. I'll help you
normally say we work as a brother and sister and maybe a grandmother, maybe if she can come, because
physio will need an occupational therapist.
Wow.
A physio will need an orthopedic technologist. Right now they're being called orthotics and something I can't remember. But a physio will work in a family tree. You understand?
Who's on the higher tree? Position.
None is higher than the other.
Well,
our services complement the other.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you see a speech therapist comes in handy to help you with communication things. An occupational therapist comes in for you to be able now to sit down and communicate, or to walk, or to do what. The physio the same way maintains your ability to engage in these tasks. So we work together as a family.
Let me give you a scenario. You have broken your arm. Let's talk of the humerus. Hapa juu imevunjika. You go to the surgeon will do a surgery, fix the bone. So you'll be put on a cast. When you're put in a cast, you'll be told after the cast is done, go see a physio. After you see a physio, the physio will tell you, and I also have an occupational therapist here, because you see there are things that happen after the fracture humerus. The radial nerve will be injured. So after the radial nerve is injured, you'll need to see an OT for functional assessment. And then if there is wrist drop, you'll need to have a splint. So either an occupational therapist will do it, or an orthopedic technologist will do it. So it's a house.
Oh, and it's a good house.
Yes. So we have to know, when I need this, I'll go to this. When I need this, I'll go to this.
All right. So I mean, is there a chance that you can do all these things? Like you're a physiotherapist, you're an OT, you're everything, you're on the family tree. Only you need Ngigi's help when you can handle everything.
I would say that is hardly, but if need be, maybe like I'm the only one. Maybe let's say I'm in the rural and I'm at the far end of the country where there's no physiotherapist, and there's no this other person. So just like I told you, you just need to do the basic things that has to be done for you to be able to save this particular person.
What am I?
Yes, because let's say for instance, like he has said, the patient comes in with a fracture, injured radial nerve, and then let's say it's at the far end of the country, and he's the only rehabilitation specialist there. He has basic skills in splinting. He knows what kind of a splint that needs to be put. He knows kinds of activities that has to be done for us to improve function. So why not? Why can you just sit with the knowledge, the little knowledge that you have, instead of helping this particular individual to recover? And of course, we are living in an era whereby you can access information. You can as well call your colleagues that you went to school with, or your colleagues that you know, who are from the other side of the practice, maybe physiotherapists, and consult and ask if what should I do. Like for instance, this particular time I had a client. I used to attend to his daughter, but it happened that he went for hiking in Mount Kenya, and then when he came back, he had muscle spasms and stuff. So he's asking me, oh Salmin, you know what, I want you to help me with my back. I'm an occupational therapist. As much as I've learned about managing lower back pain and muscles, I do not have the whole skills to do that. I reached out to one of the physio. I told him, you know, there's this patient here. I really wanted you to see them, but he's insisting I should attend them.
Indeed.
So what should I do? This is what I know. Okay, I'll do the tensing, I'll do the hot pack, and I'll do the massage. What else can I do to help?
Okay.
And then the physio tells me that, oh, you know what, Salmin, the three things that you wanted to do, you just go ahead and do them. If at all the condition worsens, now I'll come in and do the rest.
All right, I want to have some, some behind-the-scene health check, which it's off screen. So let's take some health check. Then we'll be right back after this break. Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza alikuwa na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mwanzo.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
but you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying.
You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Feeling like unwinding and calming your nerves down after a long week? I'm Nika Kala. Join me on the Nakala Report this coming Friday and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on Look Up TV. At Nakala Report, we turn the insanity into sanity and sanity into insanity.
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na Manjoro. Kumbuka hapa ndipo unajifunza mambo mengi kuhusu ukulima. Kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa nchi. Na ukiwa na Njoro unajifunza. Kumbuka, angalia mwenyewe. Tunakuambia ukitaka kujua tips za ukulima, ungana na sisi kwenye Look Up TV. Every Sunday unatukuta pale saa 10, tunakuonesha kuhusu ukulima. Ukulima wa mimea, ukulima wa ng'ombe, ukulima wa kuku, ukulima wa mbuzi na yote ambayo yanahusiana na ukulima. Kumbuka nini? Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali.
value your feedback.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
If you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
but you do not know the God who has been molding me, what has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying.
You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
It is 1 minute past 10 a.m. You're watching the Morning Drift Health Check right here on Look Up Television. We are on the quarters of understanding this rehabilitation and the power and its power, particularly in movement. We're hosting Salmin and Ngigi right here. Daktari ambao wanatusaidia kuweza kuelewa their understanding of course in movement, and there is the effect of mobility as well. So we also talked about involuntary, we talked about conditional, and above all also we had another understanding of, is it passes? You said passes? Praxis, where the mind has to adjust and this and that. Then now it's not just waking up and walking. So in this perspective, what are some of the challenges that we embrace when we're discussing about movement? Challenges that come with it. So someone needs to understand that this is a condition, particularly when there's a muscle pull, it's a condition that is coming up. So what are some of the challenging factors that hinder people, also caregivers, to understand the aspects on mobility and movement?
I think we can go back and refresh what is mobility and what is movement. In occupational therapy, mobility it's categorized into two. We have functional mobility and community mobility.
Indeed.
So functional mobility, these are it's kind of a mobility whereby it's in-house, like you move from sitting room to bedroom, to toilet to outside. That is functional mobility, or to the kitchen. And then we have community mobility. Community mobility, it's when you are able to know different areas. You see, there are some even mental disorders that affects this kind of mobility, more so community mobility, even functional mobility, because let's say for schizophrenia, it's a mental disorder. So you have these disorganized thoughts and stuff. We're not judging, but that's how the symptoms are. And now you can't remember exactly where to get a matatu to Tao. You can't remember when you go to Tao where exactly should you get matatu to your place or to the hospital even. You see, that one, it has impacted your mobility, community side. Are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you. I'm trying to understand your story ya kusahau.
What she means is it has affected your cognitive side.
Yeah.
You don't understand where you're going.
Yeah.
So I want to go to town, lakini naenda kupanda matu ya kwenda Kawangware. I want to go to town.
And you can't ask.
That's community mobility.
So how do you ask and when decision making is compromised?
No man.
Yeah. So it's not only physical. It can be even mental.
I think physical is nice. Yeah.
What?
I think physical is nice more than mental.
Let's say, for instance, let's go back to the Maandamano days.
Indeed.
Is it in Naivasha or in Nakuru? There's this boy that was shot. I don't know if it was accidentally. That thing really hearted me up to date. Because yes, the autistic boy, simply because he couldn't be able to explain himself to the and the policemen, they don't know that I'm having a condition. The boy was quiet, and that one was taken as rude. Tap. Let's say, for instance, our police force or something, they had, they were aware. I'm not here to to tell them or something, but let's say if they were aware of these issues, medical issues sometimes can lead to that. That incident wouldn't have happened.
Wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
That is sad. Sometimes I talk about it because I deal with those kids, and I really love them.
And I think we'll also have a conversation, maybe sooner or later, just to speak about autism and all around that environment, and caregiving, as well as you as a doctor as well. So Ngigi is at least achieved the elements of understanding from his occupationality, understanding all this. But now to a physiotherapist, what are some of the challenges that comes with it? And he's spoken about mental, which now work in my I feel fine kidogo. I feel aje about when you mentioned about kusahau, like ndio nikakwambia ile physical kushinda mental. That is worse. Then you've said that you already made a decision, but huwezi kubadilisha that decision. So what are some of the challenges zenye zina embrace kwa physio?
On the physio side, majorly it's not a challenge. It is a way of helping the patient. Because I look at a patient, let me give you a scenario. A patient comes in from the Maandamano, gunshot, affected the spine. So this patient is bedridden, but I want this patient to be mobile. There are things I am able to achieve, there are things I am not able to achieve. You see? So I'll be able to tell my patient, this is what I can achieve. I'll have to make sure that my patient gets to understand. I have seen technology do marvelous things. Like in India, I know they're using some technology to bypass the point of injury, and the patient is able to walk again. I have seen somebody get that. I have a friend of mine, a physio, by the name Konyango. He's told me of somebody who's gone to India after a spinal injury. They're able to, at least now, from being bedridden, they are able to walk with a walker. So it's mostly not a challenge. It is mostly to see how can I help this patient move from one point to another.
And talk to us about now movement, more so in young people, then at least teenage, and the elderly. There's the aspect of movement, how you handle small children and how you handle the grannies, the elderly, are quite different, right?
Yeah. But more so, they're almost the same. Ask me why.
Why?
Because when you're training a child to walk, it's like training an old person to walk. For an old person, it's education. For a young person or as a child, it's more of education. So this old man or this old woman, 60, 70, 80, already knows how to walk. So they know I can walk. but there is a hindrance. So you have to re-educate and try to help them readjust to this new way of life. Maybe it is by using crutches, maybe it is by using even a wheelchair is movement.
Indeed,
yes.
indeed.
That one brings the aspect to where we talked about praxis, because you see, this illness has taken away my know-how of walking.
I know how to walk, but I can't initiate
the movement.
So you have to come in, re-educate. For a young kid, maybe you have a child who has delayed developmental milestones. Now that child maybe can't sit. So what is the first thing a child does? Neck control.
Indeed.
After the child gains neck control, we go to sitting. Rolling initiates sitting. Sometimes
so anazoea ama the body adapts.
The child learns. So when the child is 2 years, you know this point this child is supposed to do this. If they've not achieved, you come back, has this child achieved this? You get? Now for an old person, you come and ask, Mami, habari ya leo, unaendeleaje? You have to create a rapport, make this person understand what you have come to do. So then you come to know the impairment of this old person, so that you are able to know how you'll be moving from sitting to standing.
All right, but I'm failing to understand the aspect on, you know, even if you're educating them, you're teaching them, there's that condition itself. So how will you make sure that now, hata kama ni kulearn and relearning, there's an adaptation?
Yes, you have to adapt.
Let me look at it again in an occupational therapy lens. So in our field, we normally there are things we call levels of doing, and levels of doing starts from the skill, and then we go to the performance, and then to the participation. So at the skill level we look at motor skills. Like for instance, in conjunction with the physio, we assess your motor abilities, both gross motor, fine motors. We assess your cognitive skills, decision making, judgment, critical thinking, all that. And then we check planning skills, the praxis that we talked about. And then now we go to performance. So performance is the actual task: sitting, standing, kicking, jumping, throwing, all that. And then now we go to participation. Now where are we walking to? Are we walking to the bus station? Are we walking to the toilet? Are we walking to the bedroom, shopping center? So that's how we look at things. And from that aspect, if you come to your client or your patient and explain to them these are the skills that we need to help you gain, then it becomes easy, because it is said patient educated is patient treated. So yeah, because you're not a robot. I just come and do things. I have to explain to you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So in the aspect where someone was working normally but now starts feeling like, hey, ni kama mguu wangu ina tatizo, or I can walk or not walk for longer distances, I'm having a problem. So how will that person seek help? And into communicating this, is it maybe perhaps a condition that wants to crop in?
Mostly I've heard of such kind of cases, but some don't go to hospital. It turns out to be a very critical condition later, because you don't know what's happening with your body.
Indeed.
So you'll find a client comes to your facility, tells you, around 2019 nilisikia mguu inaanza kuganda, si kwenda hospitali. But by the time you're coming to hospital, this is 2025. So you do your tests and everything, and then you find out, there was injury, and this injury was not sorted. You see?
Yep.
So what I would like to advise our listeners, if you have something that bothers you, as earlier as it's sorted, then that's when you'll get the best outcome.
Indeed.
Because you won't come today talking of hip pain that has been there for 10 years ago, then you've come to hospital today and you want it fixed today and done. You might find that will take double the time to fix.
Sawa. I believe from that angle we at least are adjusting to the conversation. So I want now, as we come to a close, we give our final remarks. Then later on, of course, we'll just come here when someone wakes up in the morning. You talked about drinking water, but I'd really love to see how you, Daktari, will do some exercise in the same, which now, as you know, of course, will marry to that. I believe, and Max, of course, that shot will come just in a bit. But allow me now to give you chances to, give some shout out, then your final remarks to us. Let's start with Salmin.
My final remarks would be, it's very, very fast. We need to create awareness as much as possible about health. This is something that maybe our policy makers can put in consideration, whereby they find just a way to incorporate health issues in school setup, so that when the generation is growing up, they are aware of some of basic skills that they need to do. That's one. And then two, I would really want to share to our listeners that early intervention is very, very critical.
Indeed.
Yes, the moment you get the signal from your body and it's persisting, please just go to the hospital, get checked, get the right treatment at the right time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Salmin Chacha, for that wonderful final remarks. Yes, Ngigi?
First is to note that most of the rehabilitative health is not, the rehabilitative department has not been identified as a major department in health in Kenya. So that is one thing I would love that the policymakers, please, let's do something about rehabilitative health, because it is a major issue. You go to public hospitals and you don't have access, or if you have access, it is just very minimal. Second thing, I would like to echo what Salmina said. The earlier the intervention, the better. And that is a shout out to anybody who is listening to us. We would like to come back here again, and I would like this conversation to be broader, to have more than 2 departments. If we have 3, then I think we'll take the whole day.
Can't wait, sir.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Now allow us now to stop just here. Then we stretch a little bit, because I feel like, I wanna even you stretch before you get here. All right. Indeed. Stretch killer time.
They don't move out and stretch.
All right.
It's tea break and back to the office.
Kabisa. So this one is someone that has woken up and andaka kwenda kazini. So you'll help us now. You've already drunk water. Now you want to do the morning routine of your stretch. How will you do that?
What is the first thing you do? A normal stretch.
Okay.
Nasikia kustretch.
I feel good.
Hata sasa ukisha stretch unasikia vizuri.
All right.
The other thing is you can stretch your hands up.
Okay.
Up. Huwa kona koti hawezi stretch up. And then maybe you can bend. Watu wa tight constraints usijaribu hii. And then maybe you can usiguze hizo apparatus nyuma. And then you can do the stretch back. Hiyo si ya kuamka tu.
Okay.
Hiyo ni ya kila siku.
Ya kila wakati.
Yes. Doesn't have to be you've just woken up. Doesn't have that you've been here. Hata ukishuka matatu. Watu wasikuone mjinga una stretch.
Okay.
It is your body you are helping.
I feel fitty. Yes. So I think that will be a nice way to end the show, right?
Yeah.
Asante sana for coming. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Let me tell you now, kama uli stretch na sisi, it's really a pleasure. So ladies and gentlemen, of course, we've embraced health check right here at Look Up Television. Of course, see you tomorrow as we embrace other conversations in regards to the social community. There is a need for empowerment, and empowerment comes in handy when we speak about empowering these young kids. There are talents that are built out there, there are abilities. So when we involve these particular young people to this empowerment, they become better people in the society. And even in the future, we get to embrace a perfection in the social empowerment. So see you tomorrow as we discuss about this. There will be students that will be joining us, of course, to just understand the glimpse, and the teacher also will come on board to help us shape a community in the best way possible. Now, we shall stretch. I believe so. You've stretched. Now, see you tomorrow. My name is Moses Okech, and of course, watch our shows across all social media. We are Look Up Television.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us